I hope you guys are having happy holidays. Let's get right into reacting to the day in the life of the SeaBees.
So we're basically escorting to a certain location, and
looks like zero dark 30 in the morning, as they say.
Up until we get there. Once we get there, we're going to set security for them until they're ready to take over.
So FTXs are usually great training, and they tend to be on the long side because they're one of the last things you do before you go on deployment. And they usually come up, like I said, right before deployment. So you got this long exercise right before deployment. It's usually at the end of a training cycle. So you've already been probably traveling a lot away from home and focusing on getting ready for the mission. Then you have this FTX, then maybe a palm period, as they would call it, where you go get some leave, spend time with the family, and then you go on deployment. So these FTXs are pretty, they're very involved mission sets, and they get you out there doing what would be called like full mission profiles. So everything that you would do in real life. So let's go watch them as they execute an FTX. Gulfport, Mississippi. That's a cool base out there. Camp Shelby is where I spent 3 months training for my deployment in 2009. And that was a cool deployment. We had a lot of fun out there. That's also where I got pepper sprayed for the first time. I ended up getting pepper sprayed many times on that deployment, but that's where I got pepper sprayed for the first time, and it hurt like a son of a gun. If you guys want to see me getting pepper sprayed, let me know in a comment, and I'll put that on our next episode.
So the mission of the SeaBees is to go where needed and provide construction support, whether that be wartime, peacetime, humanitarian efforts, anywhere around the world at any time.
We build houses, we build towers, we go in and refab like a hospital. I got to do a couple of those. We built some schools in Dominican Republic. So initially I just thought like, hey, I'm gonna just be swinging a hammer, but then I found out it was a much wider spectrum.
It's pretty remarkable.
Let me tell you a little bit about what the SeaBees were doing out on my deployment in Iraq and Afghanistan. So in Afghanistan, I was deployed with the Army. So we were out there, very small base. There was a special forces team, a small infantry crew, and then a medical team. And then there was me, my chief, and the cook was Navy. And that was all of the Navy people that were out there. Then we put in a request to have SeaBees come out to our little Army base out in the middle of nowhere, Afghanistan. They came out and they built us a new deck area outside of our TOC. They built us a patio outside of our DFAC, or our dining hall, which was just a little trailer, like a little nothing building, fit like 12 people. And it had and we had like these Connex boxes stacked one on top of another that I had to climb up to go do one of my tasks. I would go up there all the time, and I would climb up the front of these Connex boxes. I thought I was going to kill myself. And then we got SeaBees out there, and they built me a staircase. They built me a staircase. Probably saved my life. Definitely saved my psyche, because I got to go run up a staircase instead of climbing up these Connex boxes. So they were helping us out big time out there. They saved our butts. They came out there for a few weeks, built us so much cool stuff, made our lives so much better, so much easier. Incredible work. And then in Iraq, we had SeaBees stationed at the base we were at, Al-Assad, and they kept the air conditioners running, man. They kept these air conditioners running against all odds. It was 185 degrees outside. We had air conditioners running, 100 air conditioners all over the place, just trying to keep the temperature down to 90. And they were working their asses off every day, sweating their butts off, working around the clock, making our air conditioners work. And that was in addition to building a barracks, keeping the vehicles running, keeping the fuel tanks filled with fuel. All these things that they did, the SeaBees were just incredible. They were putting out literally fires every day and making generators run. Like, they kept us in operations out there. I love the SeaBees. They are awesome. Thank you for all the hard work. If you're a SeaBee out there, checking out in the comments here real quick. Denelson, what's up, dude? How are you? He was on that deployment with me in 2009. How about that pepper spray? I don't know if you remember, or I don't know if you were out there on the same day as me, because we did it on 2 separate days, and I screamed like a baby girl. I screamed a very high-pitched, shrill scream. It was horrible, and I would love to share that video with you guys. It is here on YouTube, so I'll share that with you soon. And Ed, what's up, dude? Ed, I still got that. I remember I hit you up about a story I wanted to tell on air, and I'm planning on how to incorporate that story, because it was just awesome. Back from HSC 23 to wildcards. Wildcards never fold, baby. Let's go. Let's get back into the SeaBee video.
Being in such a unique field of the Navy, because there's so many times where I introduce myself to people and they ask me what I do, and I tell them I'm in the Navy, and they always ask, well, are you on a ship? What ship are you on? And I'm like, no, I'm actually on the ground. I'm with the SeaBees. And that's always the first question, what are the SeaBees? And we are a fully functional construction force that can deploy anywhere in the world and provide support, take over units of land like how we are here in this field, and defend it. So we are a very unique force.
So they're out there digging ditches. They're out there building bee huts or buildings to operate in. They're moving boxes around. They're working heavy equipment. SeaBees can go on ships. They go on ships to deploy. But yeah, they are on the ground. A lot of people don't know about the SeaBees, and they only have a few bases where they're prominent at, and they're not around the rest of the Navy. Like Mississippi does not have a huge Navy presence. Up in Los Angeles at Port Hueneme, they don't have a huge Navy presence up there, but they have the SeaBees, so they're good to go. And they're out there. Looks like might be kind of cold out there during the winter in Mississippi. So let's see what they're up to, what they're doing to prep for this training.
So we have a 12-month home port. In the middle of that 12 months, we have our...
Look at that mustache, though. This dude looks like a fun guy to work for. I wonder if this guy was prior enlisted. He looks a little old to be a JG, right? Like an O2. Is this guy old looking, or is he old? What do you guys think? He is definitely rocking a savage mustache, though. Props to that mustache. Wonder if this was filmed last month during No Shave November.
Our field training exercise, which is what we're doing right now. And during FTX, that's where we're practicing our skills and capabilities. We're being evaluated to get our certification for deployment.
Right now I'm building a hasty skirmish, 1-man pit.
So he's got his E-tool out. He's got his E-tool out, and he's digging a little hole in the ground, a little fighting pit, which looks like it's not easy to do because it looks like he's digging into some pretty hard ground. So let's hear what he has to say about that.
I can start drawing up the range card and then teach him how to do it himself. We practice this, because it can boil down to us having to do it for real. And like I say, I want to practice the way I'm going to really do it in real life. So we do this, based off, everything we learn, we bring it all together. And just amplify it, implement it, and get it done. But I guess you could say the biggest reason we do this is because we SeaBees, man. That's what we do. That's what we do, man.
The biggest reason we do it is because it's what we do. We're SeaBees. Love that. A lot of pride in the SeaBee community. A lot of pride. Rightfully so. They're doing some land nav. So it looks like they're doing some land nav. They're installing some pipes. They're doing some cool stuff. They got the Constantine wire going up. Now look, you might look at Constantine wire, which is just like a twisted metal wire with these rectangular blades on it, and the blades don't look very sharp. It looks like you could get through it, but let me tell you from experience, the second you get into that, you are caught up. It grabs onto your clothing, it grabs onto your skin. You were gonna get cut. It doesn't look as bad as it is, but it was gonna mess you up. It's gonna mess you up. That's all there is to it. If you climb yourself into some Constantine wire, prepare to get messed up. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Being tested on indirect fire, small arms fire, sniper attacks, and how we defend against those. So we, as SeaBees, we're not offensive units. We're all defensive.
Do we do up here? Thank you. That's okay. You can walk. There you go. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. I'm an instructor, so I teach these guys. We have.
So SeaBees are not an offensive unit in the sense that they're not going to go do direct action missions, but they're out there in the thick of it building things, right? So if they're out there building things and they come under fire, they're not going to run, they're going to defend themselves, but you defend yourself with aggression, right? With an offensive posture. So they are training for combat. They're training for real world scenarios. I've known SeaBees who have been in combat, many of them, and I've known SeaBees who were in Iraq when there was a mortar that hit one of the defects there and it killed some SeaBees. So I just want you guys to know SeaBees are no joke. They take this stuff very seriously. They take their job very seriously, and they have a very serious job to go do.
Squad leader class, crew serve weapons class, we have fire team leader class, and we also have convoy security. So all these classes that we teach the trainees how to do this prior to coming out to the field. So we almost mentally preparing them. So then once they do come out here, the things that we taught them are the same things that we grade them on.
Either way.
And look, you watch these guys firing the weapons, doing mass casualty drills, carrying people out on litters. For none of these guys' primary job is that. None of the sailors assigned to Mobile Construction Battalion, whatever it is, are infantry or anything like that. They're SeaBees. So this is all in addition to their primary job of being an equipment operator, a builder, a constructionman, whatever it is that their actual job is. All of that's in addition to it. So it's a lot of work.
So when
That
I
looks
first
sketchy.
joined,
This guy's got one hand on a circular saw. The other guy's kind of holding the circular saw. They're both perched up on some precariously placed ladders or hanging over a wall, cutting a piece of wood. That looks like the unsafest. That's a naval safety poster. Somebody screenshot this and turn it into a naval safety poster, please, because this is just begging to become one.
I would compare it to being, a day laborer on a construction site, swinging a hammer, doing this, doing that. But as a builder first class, you're more in that project supervisor role, making sure the project's getting done on time, tasking your crew leaders with their day-to-day tasking and making sure that they're carrying that out and making sure they're doing it properly.
There's all kinds of different jobs on effects, but generally you're going to see, if you're an electrician, you're going to try to set up power for the camp and all the tents and make sure that everyone has, heating and cooling if possible. If you're security, you're going to be digging fighting positions or standing at the ECP trying to keep the camp safe, setting up concertina wire and HESCO barriers.
522, how copy?
Well, I'm a squad leader for security. I'm in charge of the security up there at the ECP, ensuring all my guys know their jobs, personnel inspections, vehicle inspections, and I did stand ECP in Iraq and Afghanistan, so I do know that some of these skills we learn out here are very valuable.
It's funny when you think about standing ECP and you just think that that's some kind of easy job, but when you're actually in country doing it, and the first time you're doing it, you're like, well, any of these vehicles could be a VBID, a vehicle-borne IED, and if they drive up to me and they detonate, then that's it. Like, you realize how vulnerable you are in that position, so it's a very high-stress position to be in, even though you might check thousands of vehicles on a deployment and, none of them blow up. The idea in the back of your mind that any one of them at any time could be a vehicle-borne IED or somebody there coming to assault the base is pretty intense. So good for this guy. And the other guy was saying about being a BU1 or a builder first class and being like a project supervisor, project manager. That's big bucks on the outside. You can go out and get a job as a project manager or a site supervisor at a construction site and make, pretty sure, a ton of money.
It really varies on what your job is. Some people have a watch work rest rotation. Me on the project, I'm just going to have a long work rotation unless they want me to go stand some watches. So we'll wake up, we'll have breakfast, we'll go out to the site, and we'll just build until we don't have any light left or any material, or we get to a point where we're comfortable for the day.
In a few months we'll have our NIAX, which is our integrated exercise. So we'll be working with EOD, we'll be working with Coastal Riverine Squadron, and it's just one more step further, practicing our capabilities to work with other units. We also work with, we've got 19 Marines out here from the 8th Engineering Support Battalion.
Today we might be in Gulfport, Mississippi. Tomorrow we might be in a desert. We might be in Japan. We might be in Korea. We might be anywhere in the world. So we have to be prepared.
There are a bunch of SeaBees stationed out here in Okinawa. There's a SeaBee battalion deployed out here all the time. And then they can go anywhere in the Pacific and deploy and build stuff, which is awesome. Also, just as a side note, SeaBees build stuff extraordinarily fast. If you guys have ever been out around a crew of SeaBees, they build things unrealistically quickly. Like, it's out of control. They are so good at expediting building structures. There's got to be nobody better out there in the military than Navy SeaBees.
For whatever comes up.
Camp is absolutely horrible now. It's a slip and slide, basically. My daily routine right now is I have 8 hours of entry control point, sentry watch, which is just letting people in and out of the camp and being the first line of contact to anyone who wants to see the camp. And then from there I go 8 hours to pit watch, where I come to a pit and I watch a sector of the field, and then I go down for 8 hours for the day. So 8, 8, and 8. Getting in our pit earlier at midnight at 1 a.m. this morning, we didn't have steps. It was just...
That's 16 hours nonstop. That's a long day. So 16 hours nonstop like that of ECP, and then of 2 watches, 2 8-hour watches, that's no joke. That's a long day. That's putting in some serious effort that day. So good on these guys for really working hard.
Really just taking a step, sliding, and catching the walls, going all the way down.
Oh yeah, look at that mud. These guys are covered in mud, soaking wet.
And right here, Echo 4,
cold.
I'm an Echo company for this VEX, so this will be my tent. So, come on in. So this is my rack. I got my sleeping bag, my little pillow.
You know, I was just talking to somebody the other day about living in these tents when you're on deployment or moving from base to base or whatever it is on training. I always said my least favorite part about living in these tents was, and I don't know, maybe you guys have your own. Let me know what your least favorite part of living in a 12-man tent is. But for me, it was light discipline. Like, just not being able to turn on lights, not ever having lights on, and having to like walk over countless numbers of bags and racks and falling on people in their sleeping bags and all this stuff, tripping over foot lockers and, you know, all kinds of stuff. That was my least favorite part, was just like getting around in the dark, not being able to turn on lights. And otherwise it's whatever. You just sleep in a cot. I mean, it's deployment stuff, but my least favorite part was always light discipline.
I bought here. I keep all my gear on the right where it's easily accessible, and I got my 2 bags here, my roller bags. On top of my bags, I got another bag with all my hygiene utensils in here.
Headlamp
got
on.
my canteen, which I take down there to clean out my razor, to shave my face. And then I got a towel there to wipe myself off when I'm done. Now, the best part of the day, taking off your kit after a long day.
Coming out.
So this guy is a 3rd class. He's an E4. Man, you know, I look back on this stuff. I hope this guy and these other sailors know that they're in like the days of their lives right now. Like, these are the days of your lives. You look back on your military service, and you're like, you know, maybe at the time you're like, man, this sucks. Freezing cold, soaking wet, 16 hours a day of watch. You know, we're out here in the middle of nowhere. I'd rather be home. We're about to go on deployment. But honestly, man, you look back on that and you're like, those were the days. That was awesome. That stuff was the best. I hope somebody's telling these guys now that these are the days of your lives. These are the days you're going to miss, you know? I hope he knows it.
School coming here, I didn't even know what the SeaBees were a thing. So like coming out here to a FTX, helmet and gun and vest, definitely a different experience than I.
Also, a YN3 is not a SeaBee. That's a yeoman. So he's a admin person. He's making sure people are mustered every day. He's making sure people got their pay straight, that they're not UA. So he's a YM, but he's out there with his kid on. You know, it's always good when your admin folks come out and actually, you know, get a little dirty with you. But by the looks of it, his uniform is awfully clean. A little suspect, YN3. Let's see what he gets into on his video.
Actually thought I would be going into the Navy.
Yes, finally, after 16 hours of watch, I can finally go to sleep.
Okay, he's standing watch. He's doing his thing.
I'm from San Diego, so I never thought I'd be outside sleeping in a tent or basically camping. This is definitely a different environment. It sucks to like sleep in a tent, not be able to shower, not get hot meals every night. It's just like everything that you don't want to go wrong goes wrong.
Those are the days of your lives.
Got to back.
Look at these guys. You're carrying. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, we got two guys right here. One's got like big electrical cables, something that would go from like one spider box to the next. Then this other guy's got a box of MREs, and they are ankles deep, walking through some serious mud. Like there are truck tracks that they're walking in, and on either side there's a foot of mud. Like this is some Mississippi stuff right here. Like this is it. This is as muddy and dirty as it's gonna get. They're out there doing their thing, setting up their site, bringing MREs around, you know, covered in mud. They're filthy. Oh, this is awesome. More sailors need to do stuff like this.
Take a look straight in the mirror. Take a look at myself. Rub these weary eyes. I can just stay in my bed. Get dressed, take a walk.
The unique thing about field life is probably just the overall atmosphere of it. Normally we work either in an office or on a construction site, but when you get out into the field like we are now, it brings out a different side of people. You definitely learn a lot more about your shipmates and about yourself, living out in the rain all day where you can't just go in a building. Not everyone handles FEX and field life the same. Also, we really got to lean on each other and make sure that we get through this.
Over there. 11 o'clock, 11 to 10.
The field is.
I'll just say real quick, you'll never know somebody better than if you deployed with them. If you deployed with them, you're working with them day to day. You're spending literally 24 hours a day together through some of the toughest days of your lives, through some of the best, most memorable days of your lives. There's no stone that gets unturned in the conversations that you'll have with somebody while you're on deployment. And these exercises are just like warm-ups. They're like warm-ups for deployment. You know, you start to really get to know each other a lot. People start opening up a little bit. You know, there's just nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to like hide who you are and what you're about and what you're thinking, what's on your mind. You just get to know people in a way that you just can't even imagine.
Designed by nature to stress you. It's not designed for you to be comfortable. We want to push you to the limit so that in a real world event, it would be second nature, like muscle memory. So it's designed to push you to the limit. So you're gonna be tired, you're gonna be drained, you're gonna have to deal with the elements. You may be wet, you may be cold, but with this situation, the unique situation that we're in right now, it pushes you to deal with those situations down the line. So when it does come up, you're like, oh, I know what that's like, that's cool. I got it.
Everyone's hurt out here. Everyone's in pain. Everyone's struggling, whether their shoulders are hurting because their kit's heavy, holding their rifle gets heavy after a while. So you're standing in such long watches, and it can be miserable conditions. At 1 a.m. today, it started pouring down rain on me and my pit mate, and we didn't even have our tarp up yet, so we had to get that up. And I'm drenched head to toe, and I'm just so pissed off at the time, and I just don't want to move. I'm just sitting there and bracing the suck. And I see my pitmate still moving, and he's still like grinding and getting the job done. And it's like, I totally respect that. I have to help you out now. Even though I feel horrible and I'm so angry, I'm not gonna let you do this by yourself. I'm gonna help you out. And I know if the tables were turned, he would be right there with me, and he would be helping me out too.
It's like anything, you know, on the toughest days in the military. One thing is that you're never alone out there. You're never alone out there. And if you can't think of any other reason to do something, then just do it because the person next to you is doing it. The guy or the girl next to you is doing it. That kind of motivation has gotten me through many days and many times where you just want to be done with everything. You know, if things are not going your way, hey, you're all suffering through it together. At least there's that, you know? At least there's that, and that's motivation enough. And then somebody cracks a well-timed joke, and you're back in it. That's all it takes. One thing I'll say is there is literally nothing in Navy boot camp that prepares you for any of this stuff. So they need to do this kind of training because 0% of this stuff is covered in boot camp. Being a SeaBee is nothing like being a fleet sailor. It might as well be its own branch of the military because it is nothing to do with anything you learn in boot camp. Has nothing to do with anything you learn in the fleet. It's its own beast.
Your shipmates, they become your family, and you depend on them, you rely on them. But then you have your actual family who, you know, your kids or your husband or your wives or your mom or your dad, and they almost become your extended family. So you have to learn how to like mentally prepare yourself to be in that situation.
It's definitely a tough thing. You got to make sure that if you are married or something, that you have the right person that's with you, that's willing to be committed for that kind of thing. I'm married with a kid, so it's always an adventure for sure with that. Now that my son's 9, it's a little more tough.
There's definitely a lot of good, and there's quite a bit of bad. You just gotta wonder, you know, is it worth it? And for me, my family's taken care of, I'm taken care of. I have a lot of pride in what I do. Military service is a family tradition. I think when I...
You know, there was a saying in the Navy, it was a Navy, like the mission statement of the Navy was always mission first, sailor always, right? I don't remember when they came out with that, but it was mission first, sailor always. Make sure that the mission gets done, but they know that the mission can't get done unless the family's taken care of. So, you know, what he said about making sure his family back home is taken care of, having confidence that him being in the Navy, doing this job means that his family's taken care of. I love that. I hope that that's true. I hope that the Navy respects that. I hope that, you know, TRICARE respects that. I hope that their yeoman is making sure BAH is coming in on time for these guys and all that. But it's really true. You know, you can just have confidence that your family's taken care of when you got that military paycheck coming in every 1st and the 15th. And then talking about you know, you got your family and you've got your military family. I was at a wedding a couple years ago for a very close friend of mine, one of my good buddies from the Navy. And during his speech at dinner, he said he wanted to thank his family. And then he said, and I'd also like to thank my Navy family who's in the house tonight. And I was like, I got a little choked up. I was like, you know, he gave this whole he addressed us as a whole other side of his family because, you know, the truth is it's really like that. You know, there's these people that you just spend maybe more time with than your actual family. You might spend more time with your military family than your actual family. And it's a thin line. It's a thin line between duty and family and being home and being away and all this stuff. That's why these exercises can be so great. It's like going on a family reunion or a family trip, you know. Let's see what these guys are getting after it here with at the end of the video, and I'll give some closing thoughts.
When I retire from the Navy, what I'll take from it the most is I learned a lot about personal responsibility, integrity. I didn't always do the right thing before the Navy, and even when I was junior in the Navy. But I think I owe a lot of who I am now to what I've learned in the SeaBees and in the military in general.
It's a lot of hard work, no doubt. If you're very hardworking, you like moving equipment and doing construction, that's all they do. So you would actually have fun doing it. You really would have fun doing it.
It's rewarding, it's hard. You'll be a part of the family. The best thing I can say about being a SeaBee is I'm proud. And they will be proud too, because you can, I know I've sent things home and I'm like, Mom, look, I did this. And my mom like, wow, you did that? I'm like, yeah, I did that.
Nice. That's a great video by the Navy there about the SeaBees. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's really true. You know, I want to give just the biggest shout out I can, all the respect in the world to the SeaBees who are just awesome. They do a great job. If you're listening on the podcast here, you can go watch that whole thing on YouTube. It'll be up there. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be up on YouTube. I just want to show all the love and support in the world to the SeaBee community. Thank you guys for everything that you do. It's really true. You got your military family, you got your regular family, you got pride in your mission, all this stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. The SeaBees have been a big part of my life. I'd love to hear how they were a part of your life. So if you have a SeaBee story you want to share, go ahead and share it. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button up in the corner here and check out this next video. If you want, in the description down below, there's links where you can get ScuttleButt Show merch and find out how you can support the channel. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you guys very soon.